Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 82 of I Just Got My Kid to Sleep. That's the podcast name. We landed on it 82 episodes ago, and I haven't changed it yet. I just think there's some brand recognition out there for our audience that we're just gonna stick with this name, you know. But also, it's not just that. Okay, it's also because I did just get my kid to sleep and so magical. I got to go to sleep too, which is great. I don't know. Someday there'll be a day where I'm like, time to go to bed, and then he goes into bed, and I close the door, and then I am free. No, I there's gonna be a time where he'll just figure it out. But right now, I've found the quickest way to the joy of sleep to just lay down next to him on a mat. Well, he found it really and requires it. I don't know. I think I'll be able to. But anyway, and then I fall asleep, and then I feel like I'm doing my job. And then he falls asleep, and then I wake up, and then I put him. We listen to a calm app. Right now, we're on a meditation about a guy that plays video games, and he's tired at school because he plays so much video games, and I don't really know what the lesson is because we usually fall asleep during it. But there's a moral. I think the moral is go to bed and don't play as much video games. Um, but morals are tricky because what if the video game helps you fall asleep faster? Did you ever think about that? That's the challenge of being a parent and still being kind of a child, because I feel like when I say that I have a plan for him to do something, and then he's like, "Oh, what about this?" I'm just like, "That's a good. I'm open to it." Like there is a logic that you could fall asleep faster if we do this thing that takes 5-10 minutes. Can we watch this for 5 minutes? Sure. Then he goes to sleep 5 minutes faster. It's a gamble. It's I don't know. I It's a Monday. That's when we usually do the show. So that's good. Hello, sleepers. Thanks for that. Hi, this is Dr. Teeth. I don't know if you can. I would adjust the camera, but I worked so hard to set it up at a straight but kind of an angle. So I wonder how much you can have the iPhone like this before like YouTube's like, no, it's got to be a vertical. Like this is. I wonder how this is gonna look. It's like this, but it's this. So just trying to drive traffic to that YouTube site. We're at the headquarters of the podcast. I just got my kid to sleep studio. It's my bathroom because I live in an apartment, and it's the furthest away. So I know that I won't wake him up, but also he's not waking up. What age is it that people wake up? This is time for you to answer. I won't hear. Send me a message at I'm on Instagram at Michael Palasak, Palascak. Um Palasak. Palaskak. Like science, Palasak. Palasak. One mission statement of the podcast is to allow others to enjoy the thoughts that are in my head while I sit in the bathroom on the bathroom floor on the bathroom floor after I just got my kids to sleep. Another one is to spread awareness of how to pronounce my last name, Palasak. People ask, because I do stand up. I'm also a comedian. If you're new to the podcast, I'm a comedian that I go on stage and I talk to about stand up. It's like this, but prepared. And not that I wouldn't prepare. I just feel like this is an artistic choice. I'm not depriving you of any. We're just seeing what exists when there's nothing, because there's never nothing. And then you listen and you're like, yeah, that was close to nothing this week. Palisac. Um, that's how I pronounce my last name. I remember when I was in college, I had to take Western Civ, which I never figured out what that was, because it wasn't about America, but it was supposed to be Western civilization. So I think it was about the beginnings. So it was like Europe, which is more like mid civ. Like who am I to correct a you know, a scholar person on direction? But why why is Western Civ not about? And this isn't. I know, I know, I know what you're thinking. These Americans, everything revolves around them, but it's the West Like it really should just be about L.A. That that's where I live, and I think Western Civilization One should be about you know settling, maybe the gold rush. We can get Northern California in there. And then part two is about when I moved here to do stand up in 2011. That's a good. You might think, Michael, that's not a whole year. That's not a semester course. Is you moving to LA? I was doing stand up before, by the way, but moved here. And anyway, there's not enough there, but you haven't listened to the podcast because you can really make this last. I mean, 82 episodes, that's 82 hours. That's 3 hours a week times 20. I don't think it's worthwhile knowledge for sure. But why is it Western? It's the settling though. I don't know. It starts so early to like be Western. Like, I guess maybe at the time it was wet, but it's just like I said, to be a class at a university that values the knowledge of things, I think that we should be clear on stuff. So that's the stand I'm taking, is that if you're in college, it shouldn't be called West. Don't if you're in college, don't bring it up. Just study. Anyway, the first day of class, my teacher said my name as Palashak, and I said, "Oh, it's pronounced Palisac," and she was like, "No, it's Shaq," and that's a good like. I've never been hazed by a teacher before, like roasted maybe, because it was her job to know about the languages, the things of my people, I guess. And she told me I was pronouncing it wrong, which I'm not, are you pronouncing your name wrong if your parents taught you how to pronounce it that way and you get to decide? I don't think I'm pronouncing it wrong if I get to decide how my name is pronounced. But this was before, the woke era, when you got respected for your name preferences. Anyway, we were at a baseball game on Saturday. Fall baseball, little league, not little league, pony league, which I'm not against. I grew up in a little league environment, but I was talking to a little league friend of mine, not like an adult who runs a little league, not just like a friend who plays little league. My son doesn't even play. I don't even know who. I don't have any little league connections right now. But she runs a little league, and she was saying it's like just a different group of people you report to. So anyway, we're in the pony league, and it's very my son is 6 years old. They're all under. I signed him up thinking he would be in the 6-year-old league, but 6 is the age that kind of everybody is, but it's a 7 and under league. But really, there's no 7 because you have to be under 7 to start. So I guess you can be 7 once it starts, but he won't, Anyway, it's like kid pitch, coach pitch, hard balls. And it's everything you'd think it would be. No, it's not really. Like when I first heard about it and then I went to a practice, I was like, I don't know how this is going to be a game. And then I went to a game and I was like, oh, I was in it, partially because I was pitching. I got to pitch. I was the coach that got to pitch. So I missed the first couple games. I'm a stand-up comedian. You could see a list of all my shows, not the actual shows, just the dates. You get it. And on my website at www.michaelpalisac.com. But so I missed the first 2, but then I went to a practice where they needed some coaches to fill in, and I got called in to throw some batting practice. And I don't know if you've ever thrown batting practice to under 7-year-olds, but the strike zone is like tiny, but at the same time they swing at everything. So and also you're supposed to want them to hit. I say supposed to because I play in a baseball league. It's very competitive for my skill level, and it's an adult league, so all the pitchers are not there to give out hits. And I've never gotten to pitch in that league. I haven't pitched in a league game since American Legion when I was probably 18 years old, and I walked the bases loaded, and I never got another chance, which I don't think is fair because you're not going to pitch me from age 14 to 18, coaches, and then I get one shot and I can't find the strike zone. You're like, well, this is why. No, I did get to throw out the first pitch in a spring training game, so I think maybe I could have made the roster of first pitches, but I never got the call. I don't know. I don't think it's about. Have you seen the first pitches? It's not about the pitch. Anyway, so I throw batting practice and I hit 0 kids, which the coach noticed. He noticed that I didn't hit any kids. He wasn't even there, but he heard. The word was out that I was pitching to kids and not hitting any kids. And so I got a message on the, I think it was a text. It doesn't we don't, there's an app you can use. Moj, I don't know. We dropped it because people just stopped checking it or whatever. But I got a message being like, "Hey, will you pitch this Saturday?" And I was like, he said I stink, which I think is good for like a little kid's coach to use the word stink. That shows like an appropriate amount of I don't know, word usage for that age. And I was like, yeah. What are the rules? Because when I was throwing the batting cage, I would get down on one knee and I would get pretty close to the kid because I just felt like if you release the ball further away from the kid, there's a bigger chance that it could miss a place where the kid could hit it. And whereas if you release the ball really like a couple feet away, you can really like you're throwing darts basically. And so I would even get down on one knee, so I was already at their level. And some like my son, I felt pretty safe with throwing at one knee, and like I had my glove. That is a weird feeling. I went into I'll get there, but I'm gonna say this part now. It's a weird feeling when you're pitching to kids in a game that are under 7, and I bring my glove to protect myself. Like I'm not allowed to field the position, but it's just in case I get a line shot up the middle that I can't handle from a 7 and under, you know? And where do we go from there, right? Anyway, so I'm throwing batting practice. I'm on one knee. I'm getting them in there. I hit 0 kid. I shouldn't say it because who knows, I might hit it. I did hit my son, but it was more like he was swinging at an inside pitch and it kind of maybe hit his wrist, but like there were no like, this is at you, not at the plate. Anyway, so I'm doing that. One kid comes in, one of the dad coaches is like, hey, you probably want to back up a little bit for this kid. And he did. He hit every pitch. He hit everything, even the bad pitches. It was like, I never really watched the Twins growing up, but Kirby Puckett said he swung at everything. It was like that. He was just hitting everything. So I did have an L screen to protect me from the 7 and unders if I needed it. And I used it for a couple of the kids. There's a couple different types of hitters when you're throwing batting practice for 7 and under. There's the sort of like the kid that's playing kind of for around the first time, and they're just hoping for contact, you know. There's not a lot of strength in the swing, but what I tell my son, I have to sneeze. That's all right. That was 2. Wow. What's going on in here? Now my body's like, we're gonna have to shout twice. You're gonna get me in trouble in my apartment. It's not that late. My kid just went to sleep. So there's the kind of the newer kid that's just like he's kind of like if he wasn't wearing a baseball hat, you might be like, is he what? You might not know he's swinging. Like if it wasn't a bat in his hand, you'd be like, I don't know. And everyone's at their own pace. It's the best part, I think. Not the best part, but one of the cool parts about watching 7 and unders play is that like you know it's going to get better, right? Like it's going to get better. I remember in Western Civ class, I learned when you're writing a paper, you can't just say time passed and then things got better. That's not a valid argument. Western Civ, whatever, mid Civ. Um, but that's just not, things don't always get better. My teacher said just because time passes, things don't progress necessarily. People that want you to invest in the stock market might disagree. I don't know. I'm not at that level financially where I have a big lump of money and I'm like, let's just see what happens. Like I gamble on this, this is my, I shouldn't say this is my stock, but I do get, if you watch it on YouTube and like I get the clicks. Um, anyway, so that's the benefit of like is like I know it's gonna get better because I played baseball growing up with 8, 9, 10, 11. I still play, right? I play in a very competitive league for my skill level. I got that out there, and they don't let me pitch though. I mean, I haven't asked. I think if I really start doing well in this coaches pitch league, maybe I can work my way up. But there's not really a lot of spaces between coaches pitch and competitive pitch. Like I can't. I don't think I can just start. Maybe I can start throwing little league batting practice. I can start throwing batting practice, and then maybe get to the point where I'm like, guys, I can really throw. Anyway, I played baseball all levels, right? And there were kids on the team that were really good or whatever, and then there were kids that weren't like the best players on the team, but they all hit the ball. They all were swinging the bat. It all looked like baseball. Like people might make mistakes. They might not be um, as good as everybody around them, but it looked like baseball. And this is like when you go to like a 7 and under game, it's like great art. Sometimes you have to really look at it to see what's beautiful about it. And that's what 7 and under baseball is. Like if I wasn't on the field throwing, I might not feel the feelings that I felt. I might not see the intricacies of these kids' growth and the competitive nature of it and that time limit, which is key. 90 minutes, let's get out. No one needs more. But it's special. Like I just know it has to get better. He's gonna get bigger. So at least what he's doing is gonna look stronger and faster. That applies to all the kids. But like also there's a weird thing where the kids that are doing like sort of more advanced, like hitting the ball and they looks like baseball. I have this weird relationship with the idea of that because I know that it's my job to sort of initiate some of it with him. But my dad did with me. Like he would take me out to go play baseball all the time to the point where I was like, I would rather stay inside and play video games or whatever it was. Because when you're a kid, and you're out with you just want to play games competitively, and not even necessarily baseball games, just anything. And when you're just doing practice, it's not as like it's hard to be like, oh, but you're gonna get better like that. No kid thinks about the future like that. Um, and my dad would take my brothers and I out into the country, into a field where no one was, and we'd stay out there for hours. And batting practice is fun, but when you're fielding someone's batting practice, it's just like, and then you do pitching at the end. Okay. So what I'm saying is that my childhood, looking back, I definitely benefited from playing baseball with my dad and my brothers, but it wasn't something that I was like looking at as this experience that I felt was something that I could pass on to my son unless he wanted to do it. I guess I could say. I don't, it's not in my heart to push something onto my kid that like playing with your kids is fun, right? But if they don't like what you're doing, it's boring anyway because they're little and whatever they're doing is, it's the relationship, the time spent is the most important thing. But if they're not happy and they don't have to do it, it's like, well, we'll just do something else. So, anyways, my son is just learning how to throw and hit. And I feel like as a dad, I've failed that part of him right now. But, we're going to catch up. You can catch up. He's only under 7. So, anyways, there's the new kid, which I understand, and that's I throw batting practice to them, and then there's the kids that have played, and they just can sort of hit everything because I'm in my defense, I'm trying to get them to hit. Like we want them to hit. This is the only time in their life when they go up to bat, and someone's gonna be like, please, please, we're all on the same team here. And then there's the kind of kid, and I didn't know this kid existed. The kind of hitter that he has a swing, that looks like a real hard swing, but they're not swinging at the ball. And psychologically, this child is. I don't really know what the word enigma like really mean. I know we say it, but it feels like psychologically he's kind of an enigma. Like I didn't know that that person existed, that player that like knows how to swing a bat, and it looks good. Like there's like a follow through, hips, hands, pivoting, and they're just missing everything. They're just straight up swinging the set. Like I had to aim for the place where he was swinging, and that is incredibly interesting to me that they can have everything put together for that swing except the part where you try to hit the ball. Like like did you know that kids that's where some kids they know how to do everything of a thing except the thing. Like that's why we got to be really patient with children and easy with kids and supportive and optimistic and positive and not write kids off because they could have everything together except the one thing that would go towards results and they're not going to have, someday that kid's going to figure out. There were two kids like that, really good swings, but they were swinging at one pitch and that pitch was not coming, but they were still swinging. And they were like, one of them was high and outside. Every time he swung the bat, it was high outside. And the ball would be anywhere else, and he missed it. And then a couple times. And then the other kid was like swinging low and away, just like pulling it too. And I know this is kind of baseball heavy, but the whole idea that there's under 7 kids that have like swings that look like baseball swings, but they don't know to swing at the ball. They don't know how to swing at the ball yet. Is this whole time in my head I've been wanting to say it's hilarious, but that's not fair to the kid because they're doing their best. But it is fun. It's kind of like I shouldn't speak. My son knows to swing at the ball, but that's not in defense. Like it doesn't really look like a swing when he does it, but he knows that the ball is coming and he tries to put the bat on the ball. And so I think if we could just combine those kids and just get a kid that swings at the ball and it looks like a swing. But anyway, so I throw batting practice, and the word gets around, that I'm throwing batting practice and I haven't hit any kids, and some of the kids are hitting the ball. And I get a message from the coach. And he's like, "Will you throw Saturday?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I tell Jack, and he's super excited. And we get to the game, and I find out you have to stand at the rubber. The rubber is where the pitcher pitches from. But I'm not a pitch. I'm the coach, So I don't understand why I gotta stand at the rubber because I gotta throw it kind of hard. It's 40 feet, I think, for coaches. And to get it to home plate, you got to throw it, And anyway, I get kind of used to that. And you get out there. It's the first game of the day. Saturday, game start at 8. So we had to get to 7 and under baseball. Coaches and players pitch baseball earlier than school. And we don't eat breakfast. There's still food in there from the night before. Maybe there's a snack available. And we get there, and it's my turn to pitch. And so the rules are that your kid gets the kid gets to pitch, but if they don't throw, they get like 4 pitches, and if they don't throw 3 strikes, then the coach comes in. And so that would happen a good amount. And you get out there, right? And it's just like a little tiny field, and it was overcast. There were probably, the parents were there. I would say, other than players, 5-10 people. I've done shows for bigger, but all of a sudden you're out there and you look at the kid. There's a kid catcher who can't the they shouldn't call it a catcher at that age. It's just like the kid that's standing back there. That because he has a catcher's glove and he's got all the equipment, which is good because I'm humming it in there. I wasn't hum, but it was like it's gonna hit him, and he puts his glove up, and I just feel it, right? Like it's my job to make sure that this batter has a good experience, the best opportunity for a good experience at home plate because the game's only 90 minutes. We bat 12 guys. We ignore a lot of rules for all the rules that we do have to follow. 12 guys and girl, it's co-ed, and so that might be their only at bat, And the first player was one of the players that just hit everything, and I was just kind of trying to find the zone, and he hit it. He hit it. I was happy for him, but it wasn't a good pitch, and I knew that, and I think he knew that because he didn't get to first safely, and he was crying. And I learned from an early age in sports, you don't apologize. So I didn't go up to him and was like, hey, that's on me. You're a good hitter. I got to find the zone. I didn't do that because that's not what sports are about. I wasn't trying to get him to get out. I mean, it's in me to do that. Like there were some kids that I threw strikes to and they missed and they were on our team. So I wanted them to do well. But I also felt good about striking them out. Not like in a good, like real way, but in a way where it's like when you play baseball for your whole life and it just doesn't go away as the pitcher. Like when they swing and miss, it's still kind of like, yeah, like not really. I still want the kid to get to first. I want him to hit. I'm not trying to get him out. But when I throw one across the plate and it hits the catcher in the face or the knee or the glove, wherever he blocks, and they swing and miss, it's just like, yeah, I did my job, I want you to hit. I want you to have a good experience. But the main thing I want to do is get her across the plate. So the first kid was crying. The second kid, good eye, but the strike zone for that age is and maybe these rules, can be altered. But if the catcher can catch it, it's a strike. But the catcher really can't catch anything. Like the coach's pitch catcher is the pitchers are, but the catchers, not only, I get it if you're not catching the ball, right? You put the glove up, it bounces off. But it takes so long for them to go back to home plate and then get it and then throw it back to me. And there's a time limit. But multiple innings, we forgot how many outs there were. And I think it's because the catcher is just like, he's a 6-year-old with full catcher's equipment walking back 6 feet to get a ball that glanced off his face mask and then he can't throw it to him. Anyway, so the second batter, he took it like he didn't swing, but the catcher could have caught it, so they called him out, and he started crying. So I started the game 2 for 2 with tears, and I'm not happy about it, but no one blamed me. I don't know what the pitcher was doing before me in the other games, but they kept me in there. So, and everyone was very nice. And I started to really find my groove once I started to feel safe, And but there were still a couple pitches where I missed and the batter was out and he's 6 and he's only going to get one at bat. And now his joy for baseball is shot. And those were the moments that were the most challenging because that's very anti-sport to be like, hey, your job is to support this other person and their love of this sport. Also, they're not on your team. You're the coach. And if you mess this up, you really shouldn't. And I definitely missed. There's pressure. It's 40 feet. You got to throw it and hit the glove. And I did throw 2 good pitches to my son. My son batted 7th, which I think is a little high for his skill level, but he'll get there. And did everyone want this breakdown of this game? We were playing the White Sox, so I didn't wear my Chicago gear. He got up there, and we thought that the other team was gonna have their player pitch. So the idea was, Jack, just don't swing at any of the player pitches. They're not gonna be strikes. So your dad can pitch to you. But the player didn't pitch, so I got up there. And Jack fouled off 2 pitches, but not just fouled off. Like he hit one down the line, and it went, almost at the third base, but it was foul ball. And then he hit another one, which I thought was fair, but apparently it bounced. It ended up foul. But he got to run to first like twice, which is almost better than a hit. And then I threw a high and outside. It was just in like I wasn't trying to get him to swing and miss, but he did. And but he was really happy, and he got the game ball because he fouled off 2 pitches. That's the level of competition we're at, and I'm very grateful that he got the game ball because we worked at that. We got one hit, and Jack got a game ball for fouling off 2 pitches. And I will tell you, I know it sounds like I'm making fun of it, but that's what I think. This is the art of it, the beauty. Like, if being in it, like we lost like 3 or 4 to nothing. A real pitcher coaches pitches duel, which you don't want. Uh, you see the competition, you feel it. Like you want your kids to score and win. You want them to hit the ball. Like there were some points where they were ground balls. They threw to first. They got them out. Like, you kind of. I think one of the battles is just like, can every kid on the field be playing, right? Can everybody right now just be playing baseball? And like my son was in left field, right? And we did a practice game last week, and I got to go out there with him because it was a practice game. Now, when there's a real game, I asked, but you can't just go out there and like talk to your kid. So we were out there, and he's like, I don't want to be out here. The ball never comes here, and I think he kind of felt like, oh, I'm not very good. I'm like, well, and he doesn't really know how to catch the ball, and they don't want you to get hurt. So this is where you are. It's a real ball. People get hit in the face. Kids get hit in the face, and then it's like, it's not coming hard, so there's no like structural damage, but it's like, it'll be better. And which I think is kind of, I don't want kids to get hit in the face, but I do, having seen it happen multiple times where a kid gets the ball in like 2 or 3 times. The kid, he cries and he gets hurt. Kids are crying all over the place. There's no crying in baseball, Tom Hanks. Go to this league. Kids, it's early. Baseball is hard, and we're asking them to do all these different things. And the payoff maybe is when they're 7 or maybe at the end of the year. I don't know where the payoff is. Like, when I was that age, I feel like it was coach's pitch, but it wasn't kid's pitch, and the balls were like soft, so you're not gonna get hit in the face and hurt. But also, that was a long time ago. Maybe kids are better, but not from what I don't know. So Jack's like upset. He's in left field and he doesn't get the ball, and I'm like, well, then I teach him how to back up bases. But that was on Wednesday, and the game was on Saturday, so the retaining of that was not. He was just out in left field, just standing there. And then the ball comes out there, and he just doesn't. The shortstop ran past him to get the ball, and he's 6. So as a parent coach, I gotta keep that in mind, right? Like if a high schooler's in left field and the ball goes past you, and the shortstop has to go get it, it's like we need to have a talk, Like when I was like a competitive age for sports in high school or whatever, or little, like you're getting screamed at. And I think the cover is like, oh, I'm so far away, I need to yell this information. But it's really like, I can feel that anger, So whatever. Like it was great. So he's the guy, and I'm just like, the ball was there. Like they hit you the ball, and you weren't. Anyway, I don't remember what was the beginning of that. But yeah. So they lost, but it was fun, and I pitched the whole game, and I think I'm gonna pitch again this weekend. They said anytime that I can be there, which I know I kind of sounded like I was speaking somewhat negatively, but I think it is a very good league. The only drawback the only thing I think about is like if these kids were all just kids, right? And this was like, I don't know, 80 years ago when kids just went outside and play. Like, at what point would they pick up baseball and be like, oh, this is the thing we're playing, right? Like, should they be playing a game that we have to indoctrinate them in? And I don't know that answer. I don't. I think it's no. Like, I think when it comes to play, kids should just do whatever is naturally fun for them at that age. But also, like, kids are playing, and if it seems like they might enjoy it when they're older, then you kind of want them to go through this at the time when everyone else is, like you don't want them to be like 10 and they're on a team and it's just hopeless, right? Like I was 10 and I was in like the higher league or whatever, and it took me all year to get a hit. And that was in like the good league though. So it wasn't like, oh, he's not good at baseball. It's just like I was in the show basically. They called it major. When I was a little kid, we had 9 through 12 all together, and they called the lower like the league for anybody could play in minor league, and they called the league you had to get drafted into major league for ages 9 through 12. And I played in minor league when I was 9 because my older brother was in minor league too, and so we played on the same team. And then I got drafted to go to, which I don't know how I got drafted. Like I don't know how are what are they looking at? What are the stats of the 9-year-old me that they're like this kid could really make it on the species? Like I don't know what I would like to know that. There's not a lot of conversations that I haven't had with my coach that I would want to have, but I would want to know what they saw in me at tryouts. We're like this kid, he shouldn't be playing on the field at the bottom of the park with an all dirt infield. He should play at the one by the pool with the grass infield because he got 4 hit. I don't know what I did as a 9-year-old. Anyway, kids can tell. Our parents, coaches can tell what kids can play. Anyway, I think there's a lot of unresolved issues. Not unresolved. I don't know. I think he likes it and he's doing it and we're playing it, and that's that's the most important thing. And yeah, yeah, yeah. I think when I got drafted, it the thing that's hard, I think, when you're playing and you're not at a level where everyone else is. Like when I was 10, you're playing against 12-year-olds. Oh yeah. Like you don't in my league when I was in little league, it wasn't pony league, it was little league. You could only everyone had to play for 2 innings, and everyone had to get at least 1 at bat. So you're only getting like 1 at bat a game, and 2 innings in the field if you're not one of the best players. And it's like, what are you doing with that time, right? Like when you're getting up there a lot, I think there's more opportunities to play. So that's my final. But we're gonna go on. We're a couple weeks in, and it's fall ball, so that's what they told us is very relaxed. It's a good time. And the whole reason I started talking about this is they have an announcer, which is really nice, and they have a baseball like a guy who says your name when you go up to bat. And they were saying Paliskak, and I had a friend at the game, and she corrected them, telling them to say Palisak, which was really nice because I can't be the parent who's throwing almost a perfect game, going over to them, being like, "Hey, this is how you say my name, okay? I mean my son's name, but if you want to say my name too, because I'm throwing lights out over here, across in the zone mostly." The coaches in this league are incredible because they have to coach kids who are playing baseball for the first time. And I think anytime you learn something for the first time, like that's one thing I've learned as a parent is like you're gonna see if you're around, not just around, but if you're actively around, you're gonna see your kid learn something for the first time. And you're gonna see the things that they learn quickly and they're really good at and they're really easily. And you're gonna see the things that take them, a little while. And I've seen that and I think the interesting about that, I don't think the things that they're really good at in the beginning is the thing that could like sort of guide their life or whatever or not. Like I remember as a kid, I was good at reading and I was bad at math, and but I ended up being fine at math, you know, as it went on, and it wasn't like I don't think you should draw attention away from things that kids aren't necessarily quick at picking up. It's just maybe just their brain hasn't figured it out yet. But you see it. And I think when you see a kid like not struggle, because it's all new. So it's not even a struggle. It's just like learning step by step, the little stuff. It's just like, oh wow. I think the healthiest way to look at it is like not like a video game, but kind of like the joy of learning the one thing they learned, because there's no way their brain, if they're learning how to read or learning how to play baseball or learning how to do anything, is going to get to the point where your brain is today. If they're not that, like we went to a piano lesson and Jack's fingers were very comfortable moving as they taught them, and the teacher was very nice, and Jack was like it seemed like really easy for what he was doing. And I think that's fine, but when it's something that's not super, oh, this is what they know how to do yet. It's like you got to really celebrate the little tiniest victory, which is why it was so nice that Jack got the game ball for fouling off 2 pitches, because it's like, yeah, two in a row, two contacts in a row, man. And I was throwing a lot of good pitches. Anyway, so I think that's the key. That's the advice part of the show. That's not the same advice song. Anyway, when you have a child who's in a thing and they're, don't say maybe struggle, but they're learning a very little, you got to take that one tiny thing that they figured out, or that one little, and just like, because that is the world to them. To us, it looks like an ant climbing up a little tiny hill, but to them, that's a mountain, and they just made it to the top. And I think that's part of being a parent, is seeing what they did through their eyes. Like when I was learning basketball, I remember I was in third grade, and it was my first league, and I had to be horrible. I had never played basketball ever. Like, the ball, I remember in the game we had, stayed in the middle of the court for the first most of the game. Like, it was just back, and I wore sweatpants, I remember. And it had to be, I don't think I could have known how to dribble really, or pass, or catch, but I remember having so much fun that, like, I think when you see things through the children's eyes, it can really let you enjoy watching really really slow under, like, people, bad whatever. It can really help you watch it when you see through their eye of, like, this is a game, this is fun, this is a new thing that they've never done before. They're in Just because you're not enjoying it the way you would see it if you were watching people that knew what they were doing, doesn't mean that they're not having the time of their lives. But when they're in the outfield flinging their glove around, I don't know how to get around that. What are we doing? They're just out there. They're not. But I guess that's a good focus technique. Anyways, it's the little tiny things, and then going from there. Like, how could it be bad to play a sport with your friends a couple times a week, or friends? I don't know, people that you meet. But yeah, the coaches, man, I was just filling in. But like those guys, they are so patient, and they see, I think, that from, because some of these kids start playing when they're 4, and they see the little tiny victories every time, and they celebrate them, and they're very supportive of the smallest, tiniest achievements, which is, it's kind of the most beautiful thing. It's like when you see, I don't know, like someone who's been through a real thing take a little step in a direction of a thing they used to be able to do great. It's very vague, but like, I don't know, you watch a movie and someone gets in a car accident and then they can't walk and then they can take a step. It's just like, wow. It's kind of like that, but with a kid making a contact with a baseball. I don't know. Not to speak lower of learning how to walk. That's got to be. We're all learning. I think that's the lesson when you go to watch your kid at 7:30 in the morning on a Saturday, is that this is what every moment of your life looks like from the perspective of someone who's already really good at what you do. And okay, if you are already really good at what you do and that's the only thing you do all the time, and you never get to the point where you're doing something that you have to move so slowly and find the little tiny wins, then maybe you're not challenging yourself for growing like the people that are, which, who cares? Just enjoy your life if you want to. Anyway, that was almost the whole episode. But yeah, the whole league, the whole thing is very fun, and I felt overjoyed, and an immense amount, not pressure, but I felt that adrenaline of, like, I'm pitching. I have to perform under pressure as the the coach that is pitching. Which, here's the thing: if you're pitching in a game, and you throw a ball, they might swing, right? It's almost like what I do is harder than professional pitchers and stuff. Because if you're a professional pitcher and you don't throw a strike, they might swing, they might get out. You could set up a different pitch later. You can throw as hard as you want. But what I gotta do, I gotta throw the ball in a way where the guy can hit. That's never happens. This is the only year in this child's life where this is gonna happen, where the pitcher's like, okay, all right, here, you ready? Okay, and I'm 40 feet away, and I gotta be like, whew, you know. And when that kid, so another kid got a real hit, and that was like, whew, the joy, like we did it, and you don't see that. Like if you watch postseason, a guy hitting a bomb off a pitcher, and the pitcher's like, I fed that to him, I gave it to him. So I think I'm just gonna keep the only saving grace, I guess, in being the coach pitch guy and not being the head coach is that like if they ever need to replace me, I'll be like out of there. So like, I'll be glad to go in the stands. I do like going on the field too. It's very nice. And it does feel like I might be able to work into pitching at my level. It's pretty competitive, but I think the technical aspects of finding the zone. I'm thinking about buying a net. Like I've never bought a net for my level of baseball, but I feel like I can justify purchasing it if it means that other kids might have a better chance to love baseball that day. Anyway, the final stats were 1 hit. I didn't keep track of the strikeouts. There's no K zone for coaches that are pitchers, and a good amount of tears. But we had fun in the end. The snack game, wow. I remember the snacks, and after a soccer game or whatever, or halftime would be like orange slices or fruit, or this was like a birthday party treat themed bag, baseball bag with all sort like coconut water, like a sports drink that didn't have a lot of sugar or high fructose corn syrup in it. Like it just was good for you. Like plus a lollipop that was shaped like a baseball. The snack game was. I had signed up originally to do snacks on that day, but I had signed up for 2 days because they said they needed more people to help, and I'm just very giving with my time, and they were like, oh, you only need to do one. I was like, I'll do the one later in the season, so I could kind of scout out what people were expecting, and I'm glad I did because I would have just brought a bunch of packets of applesauce, and they probably would have been warm, and then like here you go, and then I don't know. I feel like my style is more like giving the kids something their parents wouldn't give them, so they don't notice that I didn't put a lot of work into the actual bag. Oh, everyone gets Pepsi. Whoops, sorry. Anyway, no. Oh yeah. So this Friday, I'll be in Kearney, Nebraska, at the World Theater, and then the next week I'll be at the Improv in Milwaukee and in Sterling, Illinois, at a really cool venue that's on my website that I have to look up. The Fox River Ale House, I feel like is what it is. Hold on, we're checking this right real quick. For everyone in Sterling, Illinois, I don't want them to go to the long Rusty Fox Ale House. My apologies. I should have. And then October 16th through the 18th, I'll be in one night stands in Waterford Township, Michigan, which is near Detroit. Like if you live around Detroit or near Detroit, it's like the northwest part of Detroit. And then the end of October, October 19th, I'll be in Newport, Kentucky, which is really close to Cincinnati. I thought about putting Cincinnati on the poster, but I felt like someone might see that and then be like, oh, that's not Cincinnati. And then they think I'm dishonest. And I just don't think that's good for me as a performer. I would rather have someone be like, no, I don't know where that is, and then not go. I would rather them go. Maybe I'll switch it. But at the Southgate House Revival, it's a Sunday, October 19th. October 24th, 25th, I'll be at Zanies in Rosemont, and October 6th. Right now, it looks like my only date in Zanies in Chicago for maybe the whole year, like calendar year after that. Zanies in Old Town, Sunday, October 26th. So in Chicago. And then I have Burlington, Iowa, Omaha, Nebraska, Okoboji, Iowa, Bozeman, Montana. These are all really, really real cities. That's what that I'm not at the coach's pitch level of stand up, but it is like it is nice to do a city that is recognizable, but it's also really fun to go to Okoboji because I know that I've never done Okoboji, and I know that it's fun to say Okoboji. And I'm going to be, and they're excited. Like I posted today, all the cities I was going to, and I got a message right away from Okoboji, and they're like, "We're excited that you're coming," and it's just nice, to be really excited. Um, anyway, that's what's going on over here. I there's a lot of stuff that it's hard to read. This is an old paper that I wrote ideas to talk about on stage, or not on stage, in the podcast, and it's just kind of not sad. It's sad. It's anyway. I was at a place today. It was an ice cream place, I think, or maybe it was a. I was at the ice cream place and I was looking at the breakfast place. I think that's what it was. I think I was looking at the breakfast place while at the ice cream place. It's not important, but it said that they had won the city's best by like that city paper for like 6 years, But they were all like old years. It was like 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 21, 2021. Like they were all like over 3 years ago. And at first, when you just look at it, you're like, oh, this is probably a good place to eat. But then afterwards, it's like, well, what happened the last 3 years? Like, did someone hire your best guys? Like, it's not like the Bulls in the 90s where like you can only win so many championships. Or is it? I don't like, I think if you get one, it's like, oh, maybe they rotate it amongst the best, or two or three. But when they had like five and then all of a sudden none, it's like, well, I don't know if I should go here. I don't know. Chime in on that in the comments if you think it's interesting to talk about. I appreciate everyone. I had a show that got canceled recently in Tennessee. It was canceled a while, and I didn't take it off my website. Apologies to anybody who went to the one in Tennessee at the Cedar City Brewing Company, Lebanon, Tennessee. Last time I was there, it was packed out. They sold it out. They sold it. I can't take credit, but they did sell it out. And then this time I was excited to do it again, and they said that they didn't have enough staff. It's so weird. Like, it's not a problem that people always have, but they couldn't. Yeah, I got a lot of other stuff, but I think it's good to get on one thing. But anyway, that's it. I'll also be on the show Comics Unleashed in a good amount of time. I would be on this week, but I wasn't able to make the taping that I was in. So I got it in a couple weeks. I don't know. Picture Day was last week for Jack. That's a whole thing, I learned something about Picture Day, and maybe that'll be next week. There will be a lot. I'm gonna start teasing. Tune in, stream next week's to learn my tip about Picture Day, and I'll try to bring it up earlier so it's not something we don't remember to talk about. Thank you for being here. I'm Michael Palasek, and I just got my kids to sleep before I did a podcast.